What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Ballion, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And today, I'm going to give my takes on the first half for the Mets and Yankees. The Mets started off terrible, 0-5, turned it around in April. They were a 500 team, but then in May, it all fell apart. Then grimaced throughout the first pitch, and the whole season turned around. And on the Yankees side, they started on top of the world in April and May, and then in June, it was just a free fall. They didn't know what was going on. It's been terrible for them. I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
That ball is out of here! Out of here!
All right, getting into the episode. Mets, just incredible what they did. Mendoza showed a lot of good stuff in the first half, being a rookie manager. I'm going to keep sticking with David Stearns. Not that I was ever not sticking with him, but I'm really trusting what he's doing. He's made a couple bad moves in the bullpen. Diekman, Hauser, whatever. I trust him. He's been overall pretty good. Mendoza moving Lindor up to the leadoff spot. Nemo in the two. It took him a while, but he found his lineup that worked, and he wasn't gonna stop trying stuff. Because in May, what did he have to lose? Nothing. It was an evaluation year. There were no expectations on the season, and they were doing bad. It was pretty much a wash year going into it, or a punt year, if you will. But now that the Mets have started to really win, and they're in a wild card chase, they're gonna be in a pennant race. Not really a pennant race, but they should be a wild card team, if not the third, the second. And they might even catch the Braves. They're only 3 games back going into the break. Like, it is a doable thing. If we can get some bullpen help at the deadline, I think we can for sure catch the Braves. I don't think that's too crazy to say either. The Mets are a pretty solid team. The lineup is scary, and if Pete Alonso gets it going, just think about that. You got Nimmo, who's setting the table, really being a leadoff hitter, not having to worry about hitting for as much power as he did when he was in the 3 hole. You really using the whole field and working the gaps and not trying to just hit the ball out of the park. He set the table well. He steals bags a lot more than Nimmo, which is something I think we lacked out of the leadoff spot. And Nimmo in the 2 hole, he's been red hot going into the break. They are both snubbed. Not Pete Alonso. Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo were snubbed of an All-Star appearance. And Brandon Nimmo took that personally. He went out and he went bonkers after he wasn't named an All-Star. He had 3 games straight with a homer. He has been an all-star caliber player. There's no other way to put it. He should have been an all-star. And I think it kind of goes going on a tangent about the all-star situation. Yes, Pete Alonso plays a role in it, but I think it's also that every team has to have a representative. Because if the A's and the White Sox didn't have to have somebody, I think either Brandon Nimmo or Francisco Lindor would have gotten that nod. But then again, on the flip side, and I don't really agree with this, but those first 2 months of the season when they weren't playing very well at all do count for something. They're not just it just it doesn't just go away because they were good for the rest of the year or the rest of the first half. That's still with them. Even though I do think they should have been all-stars and all-star replacements, without a doubt. But yeah, that just getting off that tangent. And going back to what I was saying, I think Francisco Alvarez has played a ginormous part of this turnaround. Jose Quintana got his buddy back. Those guys are best friends. Quintana pitches so much better with Alvarez behind the dish than anybody else. And Luis Torrens has been a serviceable backup. We actually have a very good catching tandem. As you think where we started this season with Omar Narvaez and Tomas Nido, now we have two of the best guys who are throwing out runners in the league. I mean, Alvarez is second only to Luis Torrens, which is insane because at the start of the year, we couldn't throw out a runner stealing. It was a huge problem for us. But now we're getting back in. We're getting into it. Alvarez has been catching almost every day. I think he's fully back from his thumb issue. Although you do see the occasional time when a pitch will hit the wrong spot on his glove, and he'll feel it on his thumb for a minute. But overall, I think he's back. He's normal. He's hitting really well. Calling up Mark Vientos, another person who's been hitting at a pretty high level. And he just deletes baseballs. When he hits homers, they go a long way. Those balls do not come back. I mean, the other guys were on the topic of home runs. Oh my god. Jose Iglesias, it's just all the gimmicks. Grimace, the rally pimp. Um, oh my god, OMG. That now we got this dog. What is it? Like is he the glizzy dog or something? I don't even know, but it's another gimmick. I think it at a point it's gonna get to be too much. But if we're winning, I don't care. As long as the Mets are winning baseball games, I do not care what's going on off the field. I just care about the results at the end of games. And what I'm seeing is a lot of W's instead of a lot of L's, which were piling up at the start of this year. All right, some Pete Alonso trade talk now. There have been rumors, Bowden reported it, that the Mets have been in trade talks with the Astros surrounding Pete Alonso. Me personally, I don't think the Mets should trade Pete. Yeah, he hasn't been effective this year. He hasn't been good. He's not hitting for average. He's not hitting for power. But just think about if this guy can get it going. That top four of our lineup would be scary. Lindor, Nimmo, Martinez, who's been in a little slump, but he's going to break out of that at some point. Alonso. Are you kidding me? That is 100% a playoff team right there. And then you got Starling Marte hopefully coming back. Harrison Bader out of the 9 spot has been crushing. He's been raking. And these 1-year deals that we're probably not going to get a lot of the guys back, they've worked for us this year. Like the Mets are probably going to have a way different roster next year. They'll probably retain a couple of the guys. For example, JD Martinez, hopefully they bring back. I wouldn't mind bringing Bader back, but if we lose him, we could move Nimmo back to center. And Severino's probably going to be gone. Diekman will be gone. Nobody is signing him again. Who else is there? Manaya's on a 1-year deal. He's probably gone. Although he's been solid for us. I think that's really it. Pete's probably going to be gone. Hopefully we find a way to get Jeff McNeil off the books and out of New York and never bring him back to New York unless it's in the Bronx. But as I was saying with Pete Alonso, the lineup is better with Pete in it than whoever we're going to get back in that trade. Unless we're getting like Ryan Presley or Josh Hader. Because those are two really good relievers that I would add to our bullpen in a heartbeat. That's a move that David Stearns would have to think about for a minute. But if it's like two AA prospects who aren't going to be up for another 2-3 years and they're not going to make an impact this year, when we do have a chance at winning, there's no way. The lineup is better with him without it. And what are you going to do if you trade him? move Vientos to first and bring up Beatty, who's proved that he's pretty much incompetent against major league pitching, and you're going to play him in October, it just doesn't make sense to me. Unless you trade for another third baseman, but who's even available at third base? What do you want, DJ LeMahieu? I'll get to him with the Yankees in a couple minutes here. But that has been fun to watch as a Mets fan. The Yankees. Juan Soto might be a Met next year. You never know. No, I'm just playing. That's probably not gonna happen. So, the last thing I'll say about the Mets, everybody's pushing to be buyers on this team. Nimmo has came out publicly. Alonso said stuff today that he wants the Mets to go in at the deadline. If I were David Stearns, I would get a pulse of the team, and I'd really take a hard look at how they're performing on the field. Because if we come out of this All-Star break and we go 3-7, no, sell off. We're fine. It wasn't supposed to be a good year. We're hovering around right where we're supposed to. We're good. We'll get it next year. We'll retool this offseason. We'll add a lot of pieces, and then we'll go get it next year. Not a World Series, but we'll be a playoff team, which is better than I've seen for most of my life. All right, transitioning into the Yankees. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto land. Wow. What a fall from grace it's been. Yankees at one point were up 10 plus games on the Orioles in this. Were they? No, I feel like the Orioles were always like 5 games back or so. But they really had a comfortable lead until they didn't. It was just a brutal June for the Yankees. They didn't get any breaks. Anthony Volpe stopped hitting. He was really good for them at the start of the year at that top of the lineup. Alex Verdugo stopped hitting. Aaron Judge got in a little slump. Juan Soto has a hand injury that's definitely been ailing him. Their closing pitcher doesn't know where the ball's going to go when he throws it. These are all decisions. There's so many holes that the Yankees have right now. They do have a bright spot for sure in Ben Rice, young Ben Rice, who they just called up, and he's been really good for them. He's hit a bunch of homers in clutch situations. He's done what he's had to, and he's led off for them because they couldn't keep running Volpe out there as a leadoff hitter. He just wasn't producing enough. And I mean, Alex Verdugo, just going all the way to their last game before the break for a second. How does he not get a read on that pop up and make a play on it? Like, that is such a routine play. That ball had a 99% catch probability according to StatCast. And I guess it happens, but like, you kind of got to make that play. You kind of got to help your closer out there. And Anthony Volpe, the same goes for him. That's a routine ground ball. You need those outs. You're giving them 5 outs in the inning. And the Orioles are a good team. They're going to take advantage of your mistakes. Yeah, they've been slipping too. They haven't been winning as much. They lost, I think, 5 previous games. But you can't take it for granted. And you have to go to the ballpark every day like you want to win. And that's just not what the Yankees have done. They've kind of taken their foot off the gas pedal here. Like Volpe lollygagging that play to home when he should have been sprinting, busting his way all the way home. Like, I don't think that'll ever happen again from Volpe. I think he's a smarter player than that. But they just have to be better. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. DJ LeMahieu's been terrible. He's hitting under 200. Gleyber Torres has made countless mistakes. And what I would point to for not only Judge's slump, but like when the wheels started falling off the track for the Yankees, when Giancarlo Stanton got injured. That was a huge moment in this season. He was producing, he was playing really well for them, which he hasn't done in the past, which he hadn't done much of in a Yankee uniform. And he was really making a difference. It was it was good to watch. I was happy for him. He's gone through a lot in New York. He was so good in Miami. And as Miami, the Marlins do, they trade away a good young talent, and he kind of just wasn't performing as people expected he was on the Yankees. And then he gets injured, and then everything's really been unraveling since then. I mean, the Anthony Rizzo injury, but like, what was he doing? Ben Rice has been more productive. Ben Rice should get the starting job when Rizzo gets back. Now, if you're Brian Cashman, yeah, you're gonna go all in at this deadline. This is potentially your only year with Soto, and you need to go all in with him. I mean, there's no way around it. You're still in a top wild card spot, and you still have one of the best records in the American League. But you need there's just so many holes. They have to stack the deck. They need at least one, maybe two infielders. I mean, they've talked about Ryan McMahon. He would be a good fit for them. You want to trade Gleyber Torres for a bag of peanuts? Hold up. You could have Jeff McNeil. You could take him. We don't want him anymore. But in all seriousness, like, is there another utility infielder? I mean, you're getting John Birdie back at some point. Is he gonna play every day over Gleyber Torres? I don't think so. I don't think that's a smart move because even as bad as Gleyber's been, John Birdie is not good. So that's a situation. They called up Yorbit Vivas, but they're scared to play him when they put JD Davis on the IL with a flu. But they're scared to play their other young guy, Yorbit Vivas. Why not give him a chance? What if he turns into another young talent you guys have? What if he starts raking? These are all questions Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman need to be asking each other. I don't know if this is like the Yankees needed a mental break. These 4 days off are going to help them a lot and they're going to get back in a groove, or they're just going to continue to slip and they need a players only meeting. They need a team meeting. Something needs to change. And it never does with the Yankees. Like, Brian Cashman needs to make a move that really shakes up that clubhouse. Someone should be gone that nobody's expecting to be gone. That would get the Yankees going. It's not going to be Aaron Boone getting ejected. It's not going to be throwing at Heston Kjerstad's head, even though I know that wasn't on purpose. And the Orioles manager flipped out. That wasn't on purpose. It's really looking at each other, holding each other accountable for what they did, and just being okay with the criticism and just locking back in. They have to keep their foot on the pedal if they want to win the division. All things considered, though, going into the break, one game behind first place in your division after a season when you went 82-80, it's pretty solid. I mean, there's not a ton else that you could ask for. I mean, they should be in first place, but slumps happen. They're gonna get back up, and they'll be fine overall. I think it's just a bad month, and it's part of the emotional roller coaster. It's part of the ebbs and flows of baseball. It happens. You'll be fine. Just got to get through this little rough patch that you're on. And I think the All-Star break is going to help a lot. All right. That's going to do it for this episode of the Sports Pod. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow all my socials. They're linked in the description. But I'm Ben Ballion, and you listen to the Sports Pod.